Floss Tube friends, how are you? Hope you're having a lovely day. Good on Monday. Everyone's feeling a little sluggish today. Well, I'm in the thick of it. So I've started phasing return to work. So all last week I did an hour or two every day. Forgot what that was like. It was a bit of a culture shock, realising all of a sudden that, you know, how I used to live is coming back very, very fast. So anyway, so I've done some work again this morning. So I thought I'd best do a video because I haven't done one for a little while now, and I wanted to update you all. So apologies for my rather depressive mood of the last video. I think I've been overwhelmed by the fact that there's a lot of things that I realise that, you know, you can't just necessarily pick everything up and just do it and it all works out perfectly. So I've got some bits and pieces to share with you today, and some updates, and a little haul. So I've had some new goodies delivered, so I'll share that with you. And also, I don't know whether any of you have had the same thing, but where I got really quite despondent with my stitching, you know, my faces project seemed to be taking forever, and it just stitching on it, and it didn't look like we was moving at all. And then the whole disaster of the bisano thing, which I've still got more to tell you about that exciting little project. And I just thought, you know what, I don't even want to pick either of it up, because every time I do it, there's nothing really happening. So I was getting a bit, and I happened to be watching something on the TV, and there was like a craft channel on. And the lady on there basically turned around and said, you tend to find that people that have got a craft or a thing that they do leads on to other things. I don't know about that. I've never been a crafty person. But given the fact that I really, really didn't want to pick up my cross-stitch stuff, because it was just like, I was really struggling with it. Not that I'm losing my stitchy bug, because I love doing my stitching, but just over this weekend was just like, no, really? I'll do another sort of 6-hour stint of sitting around stitching and see nothing, or get so frustrated that the other thing just gets flung around the house or thrown at walls, or you know what it's like. So anyway, I was watching this program, and this program was all about card making, and it was some sort of craft birthday thing. So they were giving away all these things. Anyway, I was watching it, just happened to be watching it whilst drinking a cup of tea. And there were some real lovely little cards on there that looked quite simple. And I thought, I really don't fancy doing stitching. And what really didn't help was I actually missed my niece's 21st birthday. So bad. I'm like the worst auntie in the world. Really must be the worst auntie in the world. How can I forget a 21st birthday? But Facebook normally posts it up to tell me that it's going to be her birthday. And my calendar on my phone will ping up about 5 or 6 days before to tell me that her birthday's coming up. And I didn't really look at Facebook, and my phone didn't ping up, so I don't know whether it just didn't repeat for this year, but that's a bit scary because that means everybody's birthdays have not repeated for the year, so I'll need to look at that. But I thought, you know, I ended up having to do this mad dash last thing at night to get like a special delivery on the card, and well, the card was just a bit lame, really. It didn't really look like I wanted it to look. It didn't say the words that I wanted it to say, and I was thinking, oh, this is terrible. But if I'd had more time and I was more prepared and more thought out, and, you know, my week was more planned, I would have been on top of it like weeks ago. So anyway, so I thought, well, you know, this card making malarkey, it looks okay. And I was thinking, well, I could do some simple stuff. And that way I can have like a batch of cards as a backup. So worst case scenario, if I happen to forget someone's birthday, or it's like lastminute.com, which tends to be the thing for me, there's like a theme going on at the minute. I thought it'd be a good idea to have someone like reserved. So this weekend, I've spent my weekend doing a little bit of stitching, and a lot of card making. I tell you what, it looks simpler than it actually is. I mean, some of it's simple, but then some of it gets a bit more technical. So I know it's nothing to do with stitching, but I want to know from you. The lady on the telly basically said if you do one craft leads into another, and you tend to find that someone that makes cards, for instance, won't just make cards. They'll, you know, do stitching, and they'll do this, and they'll do that, and they'll do cake making. And then, as she's, you know, you'll have people that, I don't know, do quilting. Not only do they do quilting, they'll do another craft as well. So, question to you guys is, do all you have other sort of things that you do, or is it just cross stitch? Are you like strictly cross stitch and nothing else? I mean, I'm going to share them with you. They're not great. In fact, I'm not even sure I'd actually send them to anyone, but because I did them, I thought I'd show them to you. So here we go. So we've got this one. There's a bit of a centralising issue going on there with that, but that's not too bad. And then there's the first one I ever did, which, do you know what? When they say put a square in a square, you'd think, how hard can that be? Do you know what? It's so hard to get a square straight onto a card straight with another square over the top straight. So this is like one that will not leave my house, but I thought it looked pretty. It's just that it's not very straight. But the concept is there. So the idea was there, but that was about it for that one. That was all that was there. And then this one, which I really, really like. I don't know, maybe it was because it was so simple. But this one, some embossing going on. I've just realised you're seeing everything backwards, aren't you? All the lettering backwards. Oh, it's a shame. And then I did a little stampy thing on the inside. So that's another one. That one I think I would let go out of my house. And then these two, these two I thought were so cute. Because I like butterflies. So we've got a butterfly one. And it's got little butterflies. And then there's this one, which is the opposite, which is basically the stenciled out version of the same thing. So I thought that was quite good. And I quite enjoyed just the change of playing with paper. It was actually quite refreshing. So I think that's something that I might continue to do. But I think I need to find one one type that works for me, and then just do a block of them so that I've got lots of them for any mishap, forgotten birthdays. So anyway, that's enough of the card making. Let's get back to the cross stitch, shall we? Okay, so bisano. Oh my god. This is like the worst project ever. It's the worst thing I've ever touched in my life. And it's still not going well. So I keep trying, I keep throwing it, and then I do something to it, and then I do a bit. So anyway, crux of it are, it's still not right, but I'm going to leave it like it, because my theory, and I don't know if all of you are going to agree with this, my theory is, because it's not flat, and it gets poked down in the middle, maybe my little bit that's slightly off on the middle won't actually notice by the time I get a button or something in there so that you can't see it, because I can't get it right. But that's where we're at the minute. And if you've got a keen eye and you can see that, the top and the bottom is not really straight. I'm thinking that maybe if I sort of move the fabric around a bit, when I actually put it together, it won't notice so much. But oh, this is a pain in the bum. Absolute pain. I mean, I've never got so frustrated with something so little in my life. There are some beads on there, so there's my little beads. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Oh, there you go. There's my beads. So I was fine with putting the beads on, but I'm still just really worried that it's not going to look right, because it's not right still. But I've thought, you will sod it. If I just go around, put my beads on, and then put the next section on, theoretically, at that point I will know whether it's going to work or not. And if it's not, I'm going to throw it in the bin, because I've had enough of that now. That is just boring the life out of me. If I was going to say something a little stronger then, but I'm going to restrain myself and breathe, because it's such a nightmare. But anyway, so, and as you can see, I still haven't got like a cover thing for it, but I do have a hair clip. So I tried the hair clip thing. I see loads of you doing hair clip things, so hair clip works. Okay, so that's that. But a question for you all. This has come out of this. So as you know, this is actually working on wildflowers silk thread. Now, silk's all turned up lovely and twirly-whirly, all sort of like braided looking. But I have a question for you. Now, obviously, I don't know enough about this type of thread or how you do what you do with it. I'm only used to your standard floss, which turns up like that, you know, and there's nothing to it. You either bobinate it or you stick in a floss away bag, but you don't really have to do anything to that. This little beauty, which is adorable and lovely to stitch with when you get it right, I don't get it. So everyone else I see always says that they twist their floss back up and then put it into your little floss away bag. So the question, obviously I've been using this one. So you're impressed, I can tell already. I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but whereas with floss, it's straight strands that you just pull off and then you cut. With this, it's in a circle. So if I undo it and untwist it, it's a circle. So I'm really not too sure what I'm supposed to do. So I've been taking the thread off and going around it and then cutting off the bit that I want. But am I supposed to have separated that as a whole? Are you supposed to sort of like cut one whole section so that it's like one big long thread or something? And then if you do, because everyone says they re-twizzle so you do this whole twizzle thing, so you twizzle it up. So see, I've learned that bit, so you know to sort of twizzle it. But I get sort of stuck then, like what do we do with it? So, I mean, all I've been doing, obviously leaving it as a circle, so I'm cutting just bits off that I need, and then I forget which end I actually took the thread from. So when you're working on the same project and to make sure you get the same variation and graduation in your projects, you have to try and remember which end it is that you're working from. So my first question is, am I supposed to make this into one straight string and cut through the whole lot? Or am I supposed to leave it like it is, like in a circle? And secondly, if it does stay in a circle, or not, as the case may be, when you twizzle it, and then you've got two sort of loose ends there, so you twizzle it down so that you've got your... Oh, that's not very good, is it? Oh, God's sake. There you go. So twizzle it round so that it's all twizzled again. What do you do with the top? Exactly. I mean, I'm confused by this. I don't know. I've seen people do it, but you only see them randomly, like literally, they're like while they're talking, they're doing it. But they've not actually, there's not a video that shows me how to do it or what I'm supposed to do with it. So at the minute, I've just been sort of pulling the label back sort of to the middle and then sticking one end through the other end like that. And then putting it like that, which I don't think looks very good. Well, it doesn't look like everybody else's. So I don't know. But I've tried to Google it, because I Google everything, anything that I don't know. If it's not on YouTube, then I Google. But even Google doesn't show. I mean, Google tells you all what silk threads are, what you use them for, what types there are. But there's no instruction manual that comes with when you end up with a piece of thread that turns up like this against turning up like this. You know, everybody knows that you bobinate this and it comes as a straight thread anyway. If you unravel it, it's like got one end and it's got another end. This just comes as like a circle. So then I don't know if I'm supposed to work with it as a circle or whether I'm supposed to cut all of the threads and turn it into something else. So, any tips, help, advice? Help! Floss friends, please help me! Any advice you've got? Or you could at least point me in the right direction of something that might show me or tell me how to work with these flosses. That would be very much appreciated. I know that you all still twizzle them, so I need to know if it's supposed to be one strand twizzled or a circle twizzled, and then if so, how do you twizzle and then secure it at the end so that it doesn't sort of all come undone again. Yeah, because I've looked everywhere and I can't find anywhere that tells me or shows me how that works. So, there you go. So that's the disaster project. So let's get over with the disaster project. So, the not so disastrous project, of course, is faces. She's so getting there. People, it's so close. It's so close, yet so far. Don't you find that? That it's just like a waiting game, that you wait forever and then you get to the bit and then it seems to be on a real serious go slow. So as you know, all I was waiting for was to get to the swan at the bottom right hand corner, because it's the last corner and the best bit is last, and it is being saved for last. I'm still not at the swan, would you believe it? I am further on than last time, and I'm so close to the swan, but the bit where the swan is just like loads of confetti stitching, so there's lots of different colours, and it's like, you know, there's like just one cross in that one colour of, say, a 400 block, so there's lots of that, so it's lots of start and stop just for the one stitch, but I'm sure it's all worth it at the end. So anyway, enough said, here we go. So this is where we're at. I don't know how much you can see. So if you have a look, see, that's the bit that I'm working on down there. And I've got the outside, this is the outside section of the glass bubble, and the swan is about here. But she's not there yet, but she will be. So yes, so there she is in her glory. Still totally love her, you know. I can understand when people say you have to really love it to want to do it. I completely and utterly agree. For the amount of hours that you end up stitching, and sometimes, like I say, you can do like a 200 block set of stitches and it can take you 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on how many different colour changes you've got in there. And whether it's just like the odd one stitch, in which case it's a start, a stitch, and then an end. All of that takes time, and I don't think you really realise that. I think all the time you're working with continuous threads, there is an element of movement that takes place, because it is a continuous thread that you're working with when you're carrying your threads. But when it's just the odd one here and there, all that starting and stopping, it's rather time consuming, I have to say, but so close. Would I like to say whether I'll get this done by the end of the week? Nah. Every time I say I'm going to have it done, I don't get it done, or I don't get a chance to work on it, or some other disaster will turn up. And obviously, because I'm now starting to go back to work, it is that whole finding time. It makes me wonder how you guys have a number of whips that you work on. I mean, I was thinking about it, because I kept thinking, well, maybe some of my problem is that I get a bit, not bored, but sometimes you can just get a bit sort of despondent with it. And I think it's at that point that you think, oh, it'd be nice to sort of switch over to different colours, different projects, and just do something a little bit different, just for a little while, and then go back to it. I really don't think I could do that, though, because every time I think about starting something else, I'm like, all the time I'm working on that, I'm not actually getting it finished. And I've got this thing, I don't know, it's like I think it must be like a condition, that once you start it, you have to finish it. You know, it has to be finished. I mean, I don't think, other than disasters, we've got no intentions of picking them up ever again, which was like my first ever experience. I don't think that I could do more than one at a time, because it's just like, well, all the time that I'm restarting a new one, and I've still got one that isn't finished. So I've got a bit of a finishing issue, that everything has to be finished. Maybe I need to just let it go. Just, I need to go to some sort of therapy. We don't have therapy over here in the UK. I mean, you can go to a counsellor, but counsellors normally talk about marriages and life problems, but not therapy to do with your inner self and how you're going to, you know, control your life and control everything around you. Because I don't know, I live too close to London to be controlling anything around me, because everything is at 100 miles an hour all the time, including me. Although I have been actually really quite sedate. This is me sedate, so you can imagine what it's going to look like when I'm on, you know, firing on all 10 cylinders. It's going to be hair-raising. But anyway, enough about that. So yeah, so only 2 whips, one disastrous one and one that's just waiting, nicely waiting for me to just finish up so I can get her framed, because I need to take her to the framers and get her framed and put her on my wall. So, purchases. Purchases, exciting stuff. And I'm going to show you all of, like, you know, this is because obviously I don't need to tell you all that because you probably already know. But some tips that I got. One of the other projects that, or one of the other YouTube videos that I was watching was sort of saying about storage and how do you store your stuff, and you know, and I was thinking, well, mine just goes into like a big wardrobe looking thing, like in well, just gets launched in there. So I was thinking, well, that's probably me being really, you know, quite disorganised with the storage and only about the stitching, which I don't know about you, but it's like sometimes when you're looking for something and you can't find it, you have to pull the whole thing out just to find what you're looking for. If you'd have been more structured in your storage, just like you are with your stitching, you wouldn't be in that mess. See, I'm self-therapy today, self-therapy. So anyway, whilst I was on my travels, preparing for my work office, I had to go to a stationery shop. And while I was there, I noticed that they had these tube things, like the delivery tubes. And I know that someone was saying that you can sort of put your fabrics in there. So I was thinking, I've got two. So I've got one big one, and one little one. So I was thinking, well, I can put my flosses, I can put my fabrics in there that I've just got, like my stash. And then I can use the bigger one for my finishes. So I can stick my finishes in there so that they don't get all creased and crumpled or you know, in transit, like to the famous. I can roll it up and put it into that so that it's nice and neatly looked after. I thought that were a good idea. So, but they look a bit boring, don't they, like that? So I'm going to do something with them. Yeah, I'm going to do something crafty with them. Not quite sure yet what. I don't know. I think they need some colour. So I don't know whether I'll just wrap them in wrapping paper. I'll cover them in, is it decoupage or, I don't know. Anyway, it's another little crafty thing for me to do. But yes, they look a bit dull. And obviously I want them bright and, you know, just like my fabrics and just like my finishes. I want them all cute and nice, and so I'll do something with these. I'll update you and let you know how I get on with my tube decorating. This is a bit much, isn't it? I'm going from never doing anything to cross stitch to card making to tube decorating, but still cross stitch is amazing. I love my cross stitch, so don't worry guys, I'm not going anywhere. I haven't sort of moved on to something new. Okay, so silk threads, and I put into floss away bags. So I bought a box. Here's my box. Snag. Do you think I can find a box that is just big enough for these but not so big that they sort of just swim around everywhere? I can't seem to find one. So for now I'm going to use a photo box, but I forewarn you now, it is massive. It's way too big for the floss away bag, so I haven't quite found a way of doing it yet, but there's my floss. And they're all labelled with their little labels and writing, and then I've got dividers. I've got these little dividers that come in the box. So I was thinking of putting sort of my, you know, dependent on what brand it is, I might separate them by brand so that, you know, all of my dinky dyes are together and all of my Avera Joie are together, and my Cameron wildflowers are together, but like I say, I mean, and you can see the problem that's happened already, because I mean, you barely move it and it's supposed to stand straight like that, and it's just not. It just keeps, you know, well, look, see what I mean? And then they just sort of, by the time you go like that and go like that, they're all mixed up. So any sort of order that they were in is just no longer any order. So very frustrating. So yes, so I need to come up with another solution on my box. But the concept is there. So at least at the minute, they're all in a box where I know where to find them. And since I don't have millions of them or lots of them, it doesn't really matter at this moment in time. But I do need to try and find a box which will hold a 3x5 floss away bag that's pretty. I don't want just a bog standard box. I mean, I did one of my, where was it? my husband, he turned around and said, well, why don't you just get an index card box? He said, one, the top flap's open. He said, and it's for index cards. He said, because they're 3x5. He said, because the index cards that you've put in them are 3x5. And I'm like, I don't want an index box. It's plastic. I want a pretty box. I want a box that's got patterns and designs. So he said, I'm being fussy again. I suppose I am, but I like pretty things. I want pretty boxes. I don't want things that look like office equipment. I have enough of office equipment every day. So, that's my storage that I've been purchasing and bought bits and pieces, but this is my most recent purchases. So, as you know, I purchased the rainbow sampler and the twisted band sampler, and part of that was the order for my dinky dies. So I have dinky dies. Oh, and again, guess what? They're twisted. So you really do need to help me out with this whole how you do it or what you do, because obviously I'm rather reluctant to untwist them. If I'm doing it wrong, or cut them in case I'm doing that wrong, I don't want to end up doing it wrong and ruining my lovely silk threads, because they're beautiful. So if I get them out of the bag, let's have a look what we've got. We have got, oh now they're really soft, aren't they? Oh wow. Oh, they're like super soft. Oh, do you know what? I want a pillow made out of silk, out of these. I think I should just sort of, I don't know, buy enough of them to sort of, I don't know, put on my pillow so that that's what my head rests on. Oh, they're lovely. Okay, so enough feeling. Sorry with the feeling. Beautiful, beautiful colours. Very, very pink and... So we've got like a... What have we got? Oh, pink diamond. We've got... Oh, lovely lily. That's a beautiful colour. It's very graduated as well. Well, variegated. Graduated. What else we got? Natural, plain, but still equally nice. And we've got Taylor's Sweet Pea, which again is another very, very variegated pink, pale pink. Beautiful colours. Love it. So yeah, so they're my silk threads. But like I said, I'm very reluctant to mess around with these until I have some idea of what I'm supposed to do with it. Of whether I'm supposed to cut it so it becomes one long strand and then you do some twiddly thing with it, or do I leave it as a circle and twiddly it, in which case how do you twiddle it? Oh, shocking. This is a bit much. So how do you twiddle yours, guys and gals? Oh dear. Okay, so yeah, so they're my flosses, or my silks, that are all ready to go for the next project, which will be either the twisted band sampler or the rainbow sampler. Cross stitch version only, no specialised stitches for me. I've had enough with this stupid bisano thing to last a lifetime. So yeah, the cross stitch versions, and they use these threads. So I need to know how to use them, or not how to stitch with them, but how to sort of maintain either the shape or the way that you're supposed to sort of, because this is it with DMC, because it's 6 strands and you just separate the strands, you only cut off what you need and you bobinate it, and it's all very straightforward, and there's lots of information about what you're supposed to do with DMC and anchor flosses. There's absolutely none when it comes to, if you receive something that looks like this is what you're supposed to do with it. You know, it's a bit different if it turned up like Krennic does, where it's actually on a spool, in which case you just leave it on the spool. This is actually sort of tied with another bit of silk thread at the top. So, you know, I would have thought that they'd tell you how to, or there would be something somewhere that will tell me how to sort of start using them, and then how to then sort of have them ready and available to use, you know, and how you're supposed to store them. If you've actually broke into the little, you know, if you've broken into that, so what do you do with the rest of it once you've done that? So yeah, I'm really quite miffed as to how comes I can't find anything that relates to that. But there you go. But see, since as I've got all my my very friendly pro floss tube friends who probably know all of this and are just like, really? You don't know how to do that? Bring it on, people, bring it on, come tell me. So whilst I was on my little mission of purchasing, which I got the dinky dies from the Crafty Kitten here in the UK. And whilst I was on her website, I noticed that she does some lovely dyed fabric. So I couldn't resist. I'd seen everyone in all their YouTube videos, you know, showing me all these beautiful pieces of fabric, and all I've got is like white plain, or white with squares on it. So I thought, well, I want something that's got colour in it, so that at least that way when I start doing pieces that, you know, there's a lot of fabric showing, that my fabric just doesn't look white. So I purchased 3 lots. So we got 18 count Ada in oatmeal, a 28 count Brittany in Moondust Opal, and an 18 count Ada in Icicle. So let's have a look, shall we? I haven't even looked at this myself yet, so I thought I'd share the excitement together. So okay, so this is the Icicle. Oh wow. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see because I'm in a rather precarious light here, I think. Can you see any of the changing in colours? It's like a bluey white mottled colour. But it is really nice. It's not overly patchy. You know, like sometimes when you look at it on the YouTube videos, it looks like there's obvious like really dark areas and really light. This is actually really quite mottled in its appearance. I don't know. Can you see that? Because I can't see from here. So yeah, it's really quite a mottled but subtle mottle. I quite like that. It is predominantly like a bluey, a very light pale blue, almost like cornflower blue colour. But very nice fabric. And of course it's an Ada, so I'm not going to have any problems with that one, theoretically, she says. Ha ha. But we will see. And then we've got Moondust Opal. Sorry about the packaging. I didn't take it out of the packaging because I'll lose my little thing on the front. She's good enough. Crafty Kitten, she puts on there what the colour is, what the fabric is, the count, and then what size. And I'm intending to keep that with each bit so that way I know going forwards. And then what I'll do is I'll keep a copy of these and then write on the back of it what projects I did that with. So if I ever sort of look at a project and go, oh, I really like that fabric, but I can't remember what it is. If I look on all of my scraps of labels, it will tell me what projects I've done on which ones. Again, super organised with stupid things like that, but not organised with my actual equipment. Now, this one is, this is like an opalescent, so it's got sparkle in it, but oh wow, it's like a grey colour, but it's got like flecks of, it's beautiful fabric. I love that fabric. Isn't that great? I don't know if you can see the sparkles. Can you see sparkles? I know I can see the sparkles, and I love the sparkles. So yeah, so that's a lovely bit of fabric. I think I need to find some small easygoing projects to put on these. Not quick finishes as such, but just something different to what I have been doing. And then obviously take advantage of the beautiful fabrics that I've got now. I mean, I know a lot of people are doing the mirabilias. I don't think I would try or even dare try one of the bigger ones, but I know that Mary Corbett does like the little fairies. So maybe something like that would go on that type of them. But I don't know how complex the mirabilias and the Mary Corbet's designs are. I don't want anything that's going to be too frustrating for me, not at the minute, because with my bisano it's sort of put me off a little bit. I hate to admit that it has, but it really sort of has. It's just made it so that I'm like, God, if the only thing I can do is a heaven and earth design, you know, it's going to take me, you know, in a whole year. I'll be lucky if I get 2 finishes. So yeah, so I just want to find some other projects and stuff that I can do that is equally pretty, but then is, you know, but this is it. It's really difficult when you're new to doing this sort of thing, to find a design, and then when you look at the details on the design, it doesn't say on the main description that it has specialised stitches, or that it has French knots, or it has this, that and the other, or quarter stitches, or, you know, half stitches. It doesn't say any of that. So you run the risk that it tells you about, oh, it's this and it's a beautiful colour and blah blah blah, but until it actually turns up, or until you actually get the pattern, which 9 times out of 10 you've already paid out for it, so you're going to have to keep it, then the pattern turns up, and it's only then that it's like, oh my God, there's just all these different things in there that I'm, you know, not that I don't want to do, but I think I need to sort of like allow for my inner self to calm. I mean, maybe I should let it go a little bit, but I just can't. I tend to find that I'm struggling with the whole, if I can't do something, it almost knocks my confidence for the things that I can do, if that makes any sense. And as much as I try and sort of give myself a good stiff talking to, it doesn't always work out that way. So yeah, so I'm having to be very, very careful about what I pick. I know there's lots of stuff out there, but sometimes it's a case of not knowing where to go to get it. I don't want tiny little projects that aren't the sort of thing that I could put to good use. So it still needs to be something I can put to good use, but equally needs to be something a bit like the twisted band sampler and the rainbow sampler, where it's just cross stitch, but it looks elegant, it looks pretty. It's the sort of thing you could hang, it's the sort of thing you could use, but it is just crosses. So me and my crosses, huh? Okay, so this is oatmeal. So now I love that as well. That's, you know, with the right thing on it, that is a beautiful fabric. I do like this fabric, but I think that's the thing. I need to have more variety in my patterns and my designs, to be able to put these types of fabric to real good use. So that's going to be another thing that I'm going to really look at, is make sure that I've got some. I mean, the beauty of some of these fabrics is, you know, you don't need a big project to do on it. You just need something that sort of shows your fabric through and then complements the design. So something like the oatmeal, I would like to do like a, I don't know, like a tree. Stupid idea, but a tree. I think a tree, or, you know, something that's got like a very modern looking tree, would go really nice on that fabric. So yeah, so that's my little haul. Not really much else to say. I intend to do an update when I finally finish my faces project. When she is officially done and you can see the swan and you can see her in all her glory, then I will share again. So until then, I will not log back in. So there's my own benchmark now. I'm benchmarking myself. There will not be another video from me until my faces project is finished, so I can actually show you a finished project. Not a fully finished project, but a finish so that it can go to the framers. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Don't all work too hard. And for those that are not working, don't play too hard either. So all of you have a fabulous week, and hopefully it won't be too long before I get the opportunity to chat with you again and show you my final finish, and that will be the next video. So all the very best to you all, and thank you very much. Bye.